after seeing that plane crash, and then it was my turn to ride the plane for the first time, it was just a experience that, I wasn't too good with. But once I did it, and by no means do I jump on an airplane every time I need to go somewhere and go on a plane. One time I had went to Dallas and Houston, Texas, and then I drove, you know, and I had went over there because a friend of mine wanted to go see his daughter, and we went over there. And then when I was over there, I drove all the way over there, which took a long time. And then while I was over there, I was thinking they keep all the good steaks in Texas, So I said, I bet a steakhouse over here, they're going to have some good steaks. And I found one over there, and they did have some good steaks and some good food. And then I, met his daughter, met his ex-old lady. We all went out to a few restaurants. I went to a movie theater there. A movie theater where, you could order pizza or beer and stuff like that at this movie theater. And so I thought that was something else, because I ain't never been to a movie theater where you can drink beer and eat pizza and stuff like that, But they got that in Texas. And that was something else. So while I was over there also, I went to the Mint where they print money. And I went to ask them how much does it cost to go in. And they said it's free. You can do a tour for free. They said you just can't bring cell phones in there and stuff like that. And so at first I had my friends with me, and they wouldn't want to leave their cell phone in the car because they was thinking it'd get too hot and then it wouldn't work no more or whatever. And it possibly would have, I don't know, because it was pretty hot in Texas. So I took them back to the motel, and then I was definitely wanting to go to the Mint to check it out. So I went back over there, and actually I left my phone in the glove box of the car. And I had a good time. I went to the tour, and they have different things you can see there, and you can read up on old counterfeiters that they had caught, counterfeiting like $5 bills and stuff like that. So it's really educational. You can find out a lot of stuff there. And then you're not really close to the money. You're like up in the air looking out windows and stuff like that, watching them print money. But it's interesting because at this time I'm in the printing business too, like the advertising business, stuff like that. And, but the presses that they were using was kind of like our presses at our company, and I was just thinking they would be more sophisticated, but really it was just like our presses, And I guess the only thing different really is they just use a different kind of paper, and basically that's it, And they got they're the only ones that can actually print money, I think there's 2 places in the U.S. that actually print money, and that's it. It's in Texas, and I think there's one in I think I heard it was in Washington or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, it was just an interesting journey to go to the Mint. Then I went to one Chinese place over there. It's like a Chinese restaurant, and swimmed in the pool. I had a good time. I liked it over there, and you know, and then we went to downtown Houston. We went to a restaurant down there, and they said sometimes they have a lot of cattle comes through there. On certain days, I believe that just comes through there. I don't know if it's a tradition or they just do that all the time or whatever, but they didn't do it while we was there, but we just heard about it. So it was interesting, and I would go back to Texas again, if I, get a chance, whatever, because I was in the Houston, Dallas area. But it was interesting. Then as we left, we was trying to locate the house that it's an old movie on TV years ago called Dallas with J.R. Ewing and stuff like that. And I think we was trying to locate that house, and we looked at some big ones, but you couldn't, they were so far away from the road that you really couldn't tell. Because I think I don't know if we found the house or whatever, because my friend was actually, navigating a telephone and stuff like that where we could try to find it, and I was a driver. But like I said, the houses were so far off of the road that, even if you did see it, you wouldn't see it that good because it's too far away. But I don't remember if we actually found it because we went to several places. And but like I said, you couldn't see anything because you could see the house, but it was far away. You know what I mean? And that's one thing we was trying to do on our way back is just try to find the house they filmed the movie Dallas in. And but it was an interesting trip, and I enjoyed it. And then I drove all the way back, And one thing about traveling when you're driving is that's usually the best kind of sleep you're going to get when you get to your location, or if you get to a hotel, whatever. Because, for some reason, for me, I don't know about others, but for me, driving a good long distance, and then once you get to a good bed, comfortable bed and stuff like that, it's just a real good sleep that you get, from driving long distance, And that could be for everybody, but that was my experience in that situation. But just that plane ride, and to be honest, that was that first plane ride, and then I had to go to New York and get on another plane. So it was actually two planes I rode. To be honest, them are the only planes I ever been on, because I'm just not big on jumping on airplanes, you know what I mean? And just because of the things that's happened in the past. But now, would I get on an airplane? Probably would, but I just don't make it first priority that if I'm going somewhere to just say, oh, I'm going to take a plane, I'll be there faster. I don't do that. But, who knows? I may ride a plane eventually again. I don't know. But then we're just the two that I rode for the first time and the last time so far. And I ain't got on another plane since. But not saying I wouldn't ride a plane, but it's not number one on my list. Just put it that way. Because, that was just a tragic scene that, had seen. And, you know, I just don't, you just got to be very, very lucky to survive a plane crash. And I hated that all them people had passed away, but luckily the one girl, 4-year-old girl, survived that plane crash. But that's amazing, if you think about it, where just one person survived. But, and over the years, a lot of planes have went down, and you've had some survivors and stuff like that in different scenarios and stuff like that. But, and then a lot of times you have none, no survivors. So it's just something to think about. And then one time I'm looking on the showing the air traffic that's in the air, and it shows like thousands of planes up in the air, or hundreds of planes. It's a whole bunch. It shows like on a monitor. And then you really wonder, God almighty, there's so many planes up in the air at one time, and I guess that's why they have the altitude for different planes, like the heights they go and stuff like that. And then I guess that's another reason for the landing purpose, for them to, like, if a plane takes off, the next plane won't take off until a little while later. And I guess that's how they don't end up colliding or something like that. It's kind of hard to understand when you see all them planes on the monitor that's up in the air at the same time. But I'm not really educated on it. I've just seen that, and that kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And those of you that watches my channel, y'all can agree with me. One thing that I noticed that I say a lot on my channel, and that would be, that's crazy, and that's just a word that I use quite often. And I actually caught myself, with that word, and that's the reason I'm bringing it up right now, because I do say that a lot, but that's just, figure of speech, whatever. But anyways, if you think about it, though, really, whether you're riding a plane, a bus, or in a car, or on a cruise ship, or whatever, I mean, anything could happen at any time, So, you can't be nervous to do anything. You got to really still get out there and do what you got to do. And I do, but like I said, the plane deal, I would get on a plane, like if I was going to Hawaii or something like that, but it just ain't my first, priority. Because I'd really probably take a cruise ship to Hawaii before I would take a plane to Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. But I've been known to do things, a little bit out of my character, like, some things I, normally wouldn't do, I might do, it just depends on what the scenario is and what the situation is, to be honest. But that was just an adventure for me on that plane. And then after I had got back to Detroit, then I, even though my flight went good, then I thought, well, in the future, if I ride another plane, maybe I'll ride like American Airlines or Delta. And I don't know their track record on, incidents on their planes or whatever. And but I guess I could look that up too. But it just seems like Delta or American Airlines would be probably the two popular flights that I'm aware of. But I'm not a big plane guy anyway, so I could be wrong. I don't know. But them two is, you know, the ones I would consider if I was actually going somewhere that I decided I wanted to take a plane. But other than that, I'm probably going to just take a car or, tour bus or a cruise, you know. So, not saying that anything can go wrong there. It's just, you know, to me, I'd rather be like in that situation if something went wrong than, thousands of feet up in the air. So that's just my thought on it. And everybody has different opinions. And some people ride planes, every week, if their businesses, has them traveling all the time. And it's probably nothing to them. It's probably just second nature. But it's just something that I think about a lot, and you know I'd have to really study on it before I'd actually decide I was going to take a plane somewhere. And because there's just other things you can do, like a train. It's been many years since I rode a train, but I rode the Amtrak train uh, a long time ago, and I enjoyed that too. But no matter what kind of transportation you're taking to get to A to B, anything's possible can happen. And then maybe nothing will happen. It just depends. But I think that just seeing that plane crash on 94 freeway, I really think that just stuck with me, and that's the reason I think like I think today. But sometimes people will see certain things or go through certain things, and it'll just change them altogether. Where they won't be thinking like somebody else is thinking. So that's just. Then one time I had rode a helicopter. And this was just at a place where you pay and go for a helicopter ride. And then after that, they take a picture of you and stuff like that. And man, I want to tell you, this helicopter, it wasn't no brand new one by no means. And this helicopter, I think it was like $25 a ride or something like that. And you could pay more money and go a lot further away. But man, this helicopter was used and loud. And this baby went up, and it went up a good ways. And and that whole trip, I'm gonna be honest, that whole trip I was on the edge. I was like, I don't even know why I did this, because I had some people with me. And then and this was like on a vacation. So after that, once I got down on ground, the next vacation we took, everybody was hollering they want to ride the helicopter again. I was like, yeah, I'll take you to ride the helicopter, but I'll be waiting for you on the ground. I'm not getting back on the helicopter. And, because my theory was if, like I said, it wasn't a brand new helicopter and it was pretty used, like they've been using it for quite some time. And it went way up. And I was thinking, you ain't got no, I don't think there's a backup plan on a helicopter. If something goes wrong, that's just, you're just coming down, So, anyways, that was another incident with an aircraft that I was like tripped out on. And I'm really surprised I got on that helicopter. I think I just got talked into it because prior to that helicopter, there was this small plane that crashed in the city on the street. It didn't hit on the street, but it hit like in a parking lot, close to the curb. I mean, close to the sidewalk in a parking lot. It crashed, and taking off from the airport. And it wasn't a helicopter. It was like maybe a 4-seater or something like that. One of them small planes, and it had crashed and stuff. So I'm surprised I even rode that helicopter. But like I said, I just got talked into it and I did it, and that was, I wasn't too thrilled about it. I mean, it was interesting to be way up there and, stuff like that, but it's just, I don't know. I think you just got to be adrenaline person that, you know what I mean? And stuff like that, but because some people just like to do all kinds of stuff, there's just no limit. And I look at things a certain way, and I'm like, even though I've done some things that from a better judgment, I probably shouldn't have did, but there has been some things I have did, but I just think that stuff like that, I just ain't really wanting to get to the front of the line on, you know what I mean? And some people would be like, they would be glad to jump to the front of the line to, get on a helicopter or, jump out of a plane with a parachute or something like that. And, that's just not my cup of tea. I don't look to jump out of a plane with a parachute or anything like that. That's just something I have no interest in. Where some people would love to do something like that. You know what I mean? It's just different strokes for different folks, basically. But that's just some incidents in my story that I was wanting to share with y'all. And I have a lot of things to talk about, but I'm trying to get my subscribers up. So the people that's watching these videos, if you would subscribe, hit the like and the notification bell, I'd really appreciate it. But if I get enough subscribers, like I said before, I'll go back to, make a full circle and go back, and then we'll get into some real heavy stuff. And, not saying that the stories I've been telling hasn't been interesting, stuff like that, but it just gets deeper and deeper than that. So, and it's a lot to be said. But I'm just trying to get enough subscribers before I circle around. So what I'm doing now basically is just going through and just telling, some stories here and there, stuff like that. But if you really want to hear some good stuff, get them subscribes up, get the likes up, hit the notification bells, show me you're interested, and I'll put it on you. And but that being said, I'm gonna get off here for now. We'll be back with another one later. Appreciate you listening. Support the channel. If you want to support by funding, the Cash App is money sign FC313, and the PayPal is DDT313. So, keep that in mind. Show your support to the channel. It just gets more interested as it goes, and it's just something to hear. So I appreciate you, and till next time, be watching out for the next one. I'm out.